I think that's honestly, I got myself into stupid amounts of debt.
Let's talk about that, because that's the thing.
So basically, living as a broker where you got literally 3, 4, 5 grand, 6
Yeah.
grand coming in a month when you're in your 20s. Then all of a sudden, I went to work for a local bank.
Right.
But the habit and the lifestyle was still there,
Yep.
even though I was earning much lower. But I had all the access to all of these credit cards. So I was still going out, still doing the holidays, taking my girlfriends here, there, and everywhere. And then got myself into loads of debt. And that was the first time when I actually had to look back and say to myself, oh, you know what? I'm in trouble here. Do you understand?
Let's talk DXB. Real conversations by real people. Kofi, thank you so much for joining Let's Talk DXB.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you've been behind the scenes. You've seen it grow for a while, Let's Talk. So I'm so happy that you're here with me today, actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
thank you for supporting.
I know for me, sitting on the chair.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's meant to be. Well, we're going to cover a lot today, and I'm excited because I'm definitely going to learn about the world of crypto and Bitcoin, because I know very limited, but I do know it's a good platform to learn a bit more around. So I'm picking your brain today.
Okay.
So thank you for your time. So let's start with you, because I always like to give the audience and those that are listening a bit of a flavour about the person that sat in front of me, how they came to Dubai, a bit more about their background. So yeah, let's hear a bit more about Kofi.
Okay, so Kofi Larbi, born Frederick Kofi Larbi, but everyone calls me Kofi. Born in West London, in the UK.
Oh, you're West London?
Born in West London.
So am I.
But
Okay.
I grew up in East London. So,
got it.
Before anyone chops my head off.
Yeah, I was like, you never told me about West London. Okay.
So I grew up in East London in Newham, where I did my primary and secondary schooling. Then went on to uni, the London Institute, where I studied the marketing and advertising and business, which was a university which I got rejected from 3 times.
3 times?
3 times. I got rejected from that university 3 times.
So what made you persist, which is good?
It was, at the time, I had this dream of wanting to be an R&B singer. That's another
Hold
story.
on. We're going to go into this.
I had at the time, and it was the way of getting into the music industry was to understand about marketing and advertising. And I wanted to work for a label. And that was the best university at the time, the London Institute. Applied the first time, got rejected. Applied the second time, got rejected. Then accepted a position at London Guildhall.
Okay.
Which is quite interesting. Started a law and marketing degree, hated it, did 1 semester, left.
Wow.
And then finally, I was just like, no, you know what? I really want to get into this university, so I'm going to apply again. Luckily, by then, I was like hitting 2021.
Right.
Applied, and then got rejected again. Why? Because in the exam, I got so nervous or so anxious to get in. And they said, sorry, you haven't made it. So I was like, no. So then I just started working.
Okay.
Working as a security guard, believe it or not. In an advertising agency. Somehow I got placed as security guard. You know, God's divine intervention.
Honestly.
Yeah, and I was just like, you know what? I was seeing all these things. I was doing these ads for Coca-Cola and stuff like that. And I was like, no, I really want to get into this university. So I applied again. But by now I'm 21 and I'm a mature student, you know. So as I was applying, there was just no problem at all. Took my application and then sat the exam. I think I got through. But now I was on a waiting list because they had obviously their...
It's high demand.
It's high demand. And again, this was the best university at the time to study the thing. So finally... the time came, and it was the 1 year where A-level results were really, really bad.
Right.
And so I remember being on the waiting list and calling up the registrar and saying that, look, I hear that you guys have now got yourself, I've had a lot of bad results coming. So can I see where I am? The lady's like, well, we do have a waiting list. We haven't had time to go through it yet. I said, yeah, but your call starts in a couple of days. Like, what happens? And she goes, well, I haven't got the time. Leave me alone. You know, she said, I tell you what, why don't you try and speak to the dean? So I said, okay, put me through to the dean. So she put me through to the dean. I said, hi, my name is Frederick Kofi Larbi. I want to get onto the course. I've got the grades, and I understand that the results are down. And he goes, well, you got the grades? He said, fine. It goes, okay, I'll put you back. You can enroll. And that was it. And I was in.
Persistence.
So got important. In, worked extremely hard, came out of a 2-1.
Well done, yeah.
And that was the beginning of it. Studied marketing, advertising and business. And then my first job out of uni was in financial marketing. I had no idea what that was.
Financial marketing. Okay, now I understand.
Because I just saw marketing in the title.
Yeah.
I just thought, all right, it must be something. Yeah. And they were paying decent money.
Yeah, they would be that industry,
Yeah, I was only working part-time at a shop at the time. So I thought, all right. Went along for this job, but it turned out to be a sales job.
Whoa.
A sales job. And the guy was like, sell me this pen. And then it turns out, before I knew it, that I was going to be a broker. So I was an IT broker for, and this is at the time of the internet in the year 2000. And I would just remember going in. I don't know if you've seen the film The Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. So it was pretty much that sort of environment.
Like that's a tough environment.
It was a very, very tough environment, but it was like, it wasn't as wild as it is in The Wolf of Wall Street. Right. That's more of a romanticized version of it. But that really was kind of like what it was like. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it was hardcore sales. People were getting fired all the time, but I just stuck it. And learned about being a merchant, learned about buying and learned about selling. Did it about 3 to 4 years, started making loads and loads of money.
Good.
Loads and loads of money, but I was too young to know what to do with it.
Right.
You know? Really, really, really too young. So I was one of those guys, unfortunately, you see with the big chain in the club in Liverpool Street, buying the champagne and chasing the girls, and that's what I was doing with my money, you know, which is really, really interesting. So finally did that about for 3-4 years, but then started to burn out. You understand? I remember sitting on the desk and seeing troughs of my hair falling out on the desk and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a bit. It was really, really, really intense. Like,
but that industry is
really, really crazy. Like, we'd literally start at 8 o'clock and I'd be getting home like 11.
What?
You know, sometimes coming home in a limo because they'd have all your expenses paid if you take your clients out and stuff like that. So finally left and then went into banking. I was working for a bank called HFC. Bank, which was much lower pay, but it was local, man. I was selling loans. And unfortunately, we were selling loans, and the aim was to be selling loans at a high interest rate, which was to unsuspecting people, sometimes single moms, sometimes people that just needed a new settee in their house and those sorts of things. But at such high interest, what I started to realize is that we're putting these people into debt, and I didn't feel right about it. So that only lasted for about 10 months.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, you know what, I can't do this thing anymore. And then I just left, had no job to go to. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go traveling. You know, I've done a bit of traveling. I'm going to go backpacking. So I went backpacking, ended up in Brazil. And that's where the story started.
Got it. Okay, we're going to pause because we didn't talk about all of this stuff, which you've had a really interesting journey in your career, actually, then.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about when you got lots of money, the use of the money, because that made me think about financial literacy. And at that age, we don't know. It's obviously we get the money, we spend. But how did you then come to a point of actually understanding financial literacy and using your money well? Obviously, that was a very young age for you. And if you're earning quite well, it's quite easy to just go into the materialistic side of things. When did that change in your career?
When did I start getting more smarter with my money? I think that's honestly, I got myself into stupid amounts of debt.
Let's talk about that, because that's the thing.
So basically, living as a broker where you got literally 3, 4, 5 grand, 6 grand coming in a month when you're in your 20s. Then all of a sudden, I went to work for a local bank. But the habit and the lifestyle was still there, even though I was earning much lower. But I had all the access to all of these credit cards. So I was still going out, still doing the holidays, taking my girlfriends here, there, and everywhere. And then got myself into loads of debt. And that was the first time when I actually had to look back and say to myself, oh, you know what? I'm in trouble here. Do you understand? Then once I was in Brazil, I spent 2 years out there, earning pretty, not earning great money as well. So
what were you doing in Brazil? Was it teaching? You mentioned.
So when I got to Brazil, it was traveling. But when I decided I wanted to stay because I had no job to come back to, someone offered me a job as a teacher in Brazil, and it was pretty much, I tell you what, we'll give you a job. Teaching if you teach our hotel staff English, because by then they had like the Olympics coming and the World Cup coming.
Fantastic.
And nobody in Brazil speaks English. And Brazil is like one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. Like I don't know if
I haven't been, but I hear it's on the list.
It is definitely one of the I've always said that the film Avatar is a romanticized version of Brazil.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's on the list.
One of my favorite places in the world. So as I said, getting back to it, I spent that time in Brazil and spent 2 years out there teaching, and teaching English as a foreign language, but then realized that, okay, this is a career that I really, really like. So I want to come back to the UK. It's when I got back to the UK that I first had to take a look at my finances, and I was like, holy crap.
Whoa.
You understand? I was in serious debt. I didn't know what to do. So it was the first time I had to sit down and start budgeting.
Right.
You understand? So we had to start looking. I've got to use this to pay this, pay that. My credit rating was all messed up. I had to go into one of those programs. I think they call like an IVA
to
or
kind of
something
clear, like they consolidate everything.
It's not like bankruptcy, but it's just pretty much like you've got to literally pay this thing for 5 years until the whole thing goes down. But it's the first time I had to start looking at, okay, this is what goes into your rent, this is what goes into your bills, this is what, and then they take the rest. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But that was the first time I really kind of got a structure with what I was doing.
And that's quite tough to do, right? It's quite scary because I hear a lot of people try to avoid when they
Yes.
know they're in debt, but they
Yes.
avoid actually, can I actually go into the detail of how bad is it?
Yes.
It causes a lot of anxiety, stress, depression. So that's
Yes.
quite brave to actually sit and do that, because a lot of people avoid when it comes to bills.
It is not. It was very, very scary at the time,
Mm.
but at the same time, it was one of the most life-changing experiences for me as well, because now I had a structure.
Good.
You know, and for the
Yeah.
first time I had something to work towards, because
Yeah.
it's the same. Because now I had even though when I came back to the UK, I started teaching. It was a case of, okay, now I know what I'm working. So my aim was, and the first time I had an horizon, like I'm aiming to get myself out of
Good.
debt. And so for the next 5 years working as a teacher, started off as an English teacher. Continuing teaching English from Brazil,
Oh, okay.
from the English teaching. Then I ended up at this kind of private college
Okay.
called Life Skills Solutions. I'll never forget that.
Wow, what a
Life
name
Skills
for a
Solutions,
college.
Yeah, it was like a hairdressing college where they would learn hairdressing, but they would have to do an English unit and then have to do a maths unit. And so even though I went in there doing English, after one, they got to see my background and goes, oh, so you've got a business and kind of numeracy
Yes.
background as well. So you can teach the numeracy units, you get what I'm going to say, and which was great. Did that for about a few years, you know, around the whole kind of Brick Lane,
Yes, yeah.
Shoreditch area,
Yeah.
you know, in our trendy jeans.
It's quite
and
cool,
coming out,
yeah.
You know, only doing that for it wasn't hard work at all. You understand?
Very
I had
different to
lots
like
and
the
lots of-
banking side that you went into. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. It was a lot of fun, but again, not a lot of money. But
Yeah.
then finally from there, because I'd now built up experience, I had like 3-4 years experience as a teacher. I got myself a proper job in a college.
Right. Okay.
And even though I went in now as an English and maths teacher, that's when they really take a look at your qualifications.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you've got a business background. So they started giving me this business unit.
Okay.
I was teaching on this program called Step Up, and which was literally for students who failed their GCSEs and needed to do some kind of a retake. So I was
okay.
doing the maths with that.
Oh, fantastic.
And then one of the a lady called Juliana Martin, who I'll never forget, and my manager Alan, they were like, oh, you know what? We've got this unit we want to add to kind of buffer up the course, you understand,
Okay.
which is called personal budgeting and money management.
My goodness. Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, what's this? But that was literally the start of it. So that was where I started teaching like banking, how to
Wow.
open a bank account,
Yep.
how to manage a checkbook at the time.
Yes,
obviously,
yeah,
it shows
'cause
you
it's
how long it was. How to save, the importance of saving, the importance of planning your money, about having a personal budget. But obviously, because I've been through that experience,
And you had done it as
and
well,
I've been
yeah.
through it, I was able to teach it, but it became a strong passion, and I realized I was really good at it because I had the personal experience as well.
What age were they? It was college age, did you
This
say?
is college age,
oh,
yeah.
So they
So
were
it was a
teaching it
sixth form
around that
college.
age. Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
Because I
it's-
never got that in like financial literacy or anything like, unless maybe I didn't look for it specifically, but I felt like it wasn't really available.
This is the thing; it's not
Okay,
financial
yeah,
literacy. I mean,
yeah.
if everybody was financial literate,
It'd be a different world, wouldn't it?
it would be a different world. Then the banks would lose money.
Yeah,
wouldn't
they don't want that.
They
Yeah.
don't want that, you know.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it happened to be something that was there, and
So
so
good.
I really, really kind of drove into it. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But then, just as time was moving on, this is when I was doing some photocopying, preparing for a new academic year, and someone had left some leaflet on a photocopier, which is called The New Money, and I was just like, okay,
What's
what is
this?
this? You
Yeah.
understand? This would be good as an introduction for the new students when they come in, when they've got to do this personal budget and money management small buffer course. You get what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say? Which is interesting. So I was like, okay, fine. So I started writing materials around it. It said this new money, Bitcoin, and it had been going up so and so on and so on, and it's growing rapidly and so on. I thought,
Wow.
oh, interesting. Just put it on my desk.
Yeah.
Got on with the inductions and stuff like that. Wrote a few of the materials, and then finally got to, I believe it was around about October. This is 2017. This is
Yeah,
October
wow.
2017. And I saw it, okay, that time it was about $4,000 or $5,000 dollars.
Yep.
And they were like, oh, you know what? I started standing in the front of the class on the first day. This is, I've come across this new thing, they're calling it Bitcoin. It's currently around about 5K. And they was like, no, sir, it's not, doesn't say 5K. I said, sorry, because obviously I'm facing
You're
the smart
facing,
board.
right, got it, yeah.
When I turned around, it was now 8K.
What?
And I'm just like, maybe I've got the thing wrong. You know what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say? Now, remember, you got about 3 or 4 different groups. So 3-4 days later,
Yes.
I'm now teaching it to another group. And I said, okay, this thing is now going for about 8K. And then the students are like, no, sir, it says 12.
It's gone up.
I was just like,
so quickly as well. Yeah.
And I was just like, no. I said something, you know what I mean? So I looked at this thing. I literally, when I went home, I left work. I literally went straight to the bank. I put all the money that I had.
You went straight in. You didn't even waste time.
That was the first day I went straight in. After the class, I literally finished. I drove to Stratford Centre. They used to have something which we call a Bitcoin ATM.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, there's such a thing as a Bitcoin ATM. So you put your cash into the machine and you got this QR code and then you scan it and then you get your Bitcoin.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah. It was really, really interesting. So that was literally the start of it for me. So I remember I put my money into this thing. I must have put in about £1,000, which is all the money I had available at the time. Remember, I'm just slowly...
You're slowly rebuilding, out of debt,
Which is really, really interesting. Then finally... as I said, finally, I was just like, I started looking at this thing, but you know, as they say, you go down the Bitcoin, the crypto rabbit hole.
Okay.
So I literally saw £1,000 turn into like 5K or something like that.
How long did that take?
Within about 3 months.
Oh, right.
So I was on the moon. I was just like, I want to be a millionaire. I was telling all my friends, I was telling my girlfriend at the time, like, I think I've just made $1 million. You get what I'm saying? She's like, what are you talking about? I said, I found this thing called Bitcoin. I went, I was going online, and then I remember I asked the IT department, and the guy was like, listen, I said, well, do you know much about this Bitcoin thing? He goes, yeah, I've heard a lot about it. It's about to become regulated, so if you're going to go into it, you better go into it properly. Wow. You get what I'm saying? So I was literally every single day
all in
for the last 8 years.
8 years you've been
doing this? For the last 9 years now.
Okay.
I was researching this thing called Bitcoin. I went to know everything about it. I got into the other altcoins. I was, you know what I mean, I saw my money go up. So I saw that got to 5K, but then obviously this is a market and we was in a bull market, which I didn't realize. Come January, boom, my money's just literally gone down now from 5K down to about 1.5.
So what do you do when that happens? Because I think these are the stories that people hear and then they get scared. They're like, oh, I'm not touching it. It's too risky. But what does that actually mean? So if it drops like that, what do you do?
What we're seeing at the time is just like, it's... we were looking at a 4-year cycle. So basically any kind of financial asset that human beings invest in.
Okay.
Because when you're looking at a chart, you're literally looking at human emotions in relation to money, and it's been happening since the beginning of time. So the 4-year cycle is nothing different because Bitcoin is a financial product, a financial asset, just like with the S&P 500 or with gold. So it's something that's been happening all the time. So you have these cycles. Right. You understand? But at the time, I didn't know that.
Didn't understand that. Yes.
So I was watching it all drop, but I kept researching. I kept teaching it at work, and then it got to a stage that obviously now the teaching assistants all of a sudden wanted to get into my classes. Do you understand?
They want you to teach them about it.
It was really interesting because, like, obviously sometimes I've got a class of about 16, but then sometimes you come in, you got 3 teaching assistants in the classroom. And I was just like, and it was always from my money management classes. And that's when I got to realize that people were coming in to take notes, and that's when I realized I was onto something, you know. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, so this is something really quite big. So then I started writing assignments about it. And we had this, you know, you got these exam boards.
Yes, correct, yeah.
So I started writing assignments around it. So even though it might be called a business course or a numeracy course, the content would be about Ethereum. Or the content would be about Bitcoin, or the content would be about Litecoin.
So you're writing the course materials?
I was writing the course materials. So it would be under the realm of, I don't know, OCR, numeracy, or business maths or something like that. But it was really about crypto.
Specific to crypto.
Yeah. And then I remember my job as well was to get these students who'd failed their GCSEs to be motivated and engaged in it again. So obviously one of the easiest ways to get students engaged is if they think they're going to make a lot of money. which is what I used to do. So literally they'd come in and they'd be doing this whole year retake course, but it would all really be, it would seem like they were coming in to do a crypto course. And that's what got the course really, really popular. Got me popular with the staff, obviously, because they were learning. Some of the staff started investing and making money, which is good. I saw my money go down, but then we went into the next bear market, which was 4 years later.
So at that point, you just reinvest more into it, or you just kind of sit and wait?
At the time, I didn't really know what to do. I was trying to put my money in, and I was buying all these kind of crazy altcoins. You get what I'm saying? Altcoins are like the alternative coins to Bitcoin. Right. So Bitcoin is the main one, and then you've got the altcoins, which is literally everything else. You know?
And it's always best to stick with like the Bitcoin because it's a bit more solid.
Yes. We'll get into that because that's really, really, really important. So basically, we can go into it now. We can go into it now.
Whichever.
So basically, to cut a long story short, Bitcoin is a decentralized currency. Right. So when we're talking about cryptocurrency, you've got loads of them. There's something like 2.2 million.
This
of
is
them
what I
now.
heard. This is what's
Yes,
confusing me.
yes.
Okay.
And this
yeah.
is what confuses everybody.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it simple, Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that is totally decentralized.
Right.
Meaning it is a monetary system that is not governed or managed or controlled by anybody. By anybody, by anything, has no central entity.
Right.
Whereas like the pound that we use, the US dollar and all of these different things, they are centralized currencies.
Yes.
They're printed by the Mint or the Federal Reserve in the US and so on. So we don't have that kind of, we don't have no control over how our money is inflated. So for example,
Right.
when the UK government decides they wants to fund something like I don't know, some kind of building or some kind of project or whatever it is that they may decide to do, we don't have no say in that. And how
Yes.
they do that is that they print money into the system, sell it as bonds. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
But by putting that amount of money into the system, if you've now got £10,000 saved in your bank, what does that do for your money? That makes your purchasing power much less.
Yes. Correct. Yeah. Makes sense.
What makes Bitcoin special is that it's finite. You can only have 21 million of them.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So because you can only have 21 million of them, it's something you can invest in without worrying about the value of it being inflated away.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
But I wonder why they haven't centralized it then.
And that's where it comes to its inception.
Right.
So basically, Bitcoin was created by, we don't know if it's a man, a woman, or a group of people in disgust over what was happening in 2008. Remember the big financial
crash?
crash?
Yeah.
And where a lot of people lost their money. And what basically happened is because remember banks were printing money left, right and centre and giving people mortgages
Yes.
who couldn't afford them
Yep.
all over the world. Now, so when it all crashed, the government came along and bailed them all out.
Yeah.
But what they did was just print that
Print
money into
more
the
money.
system.
Yes,
And
yeah.
by printing the money into the system, it meant that the value of our savings now has gone down.
It's gone down. Yeah. Okay.
So the whole point now of saving has been taken away. And it's something they've been doing for years and years and years. But obviously since 2008 and onwards, it's just got worse and worse
Yes.
and worse.
Correct. And more talked about, and more obvious, I think, to people in terms of what's happening. Yeah.
Because
okay.
we're all looking around and we're seeing how hard things are getting.
Yes,
Do you get what I'm trying to
correct,
say?
yeah.
We're all from the UK. We've moved out here. Why? Because things are so difficult.
Yeah.
Because things are not really, really, really affordable.
Yep.
But what we're really seeing is our purchasing power of our money
Yes,
is
reduced.
going down because so much is being printed into the system.
Yep.
So if you are someone who's saving your money in a bank account, you are finding that you're not really getting
not getting
anywhere.
anything, yeah.
And this is what you hear. You hear that same narrative all the time.
Yes.
I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I'm saving money, but I still don't feel like I'm getting anywhere.
Yep.
Why? Because your purchasing power, which is what we really, really want from money, is dwindling all of the time
Yeah.
because of money printing.
Got it. Yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So in order to do that, what we need to do then is invest our money in something which doesn't get inflated away so
Yes, yeah,
easily, which
yeah.
is much more scarce, which is why you find people say when they want to invest, what's the first thing they say in the UK? A house.
A house. Yeah.
And invest more money in a house. Why? Because at least you can see the value of it going up over time. Whereas if you keep it in the bank, you feel like you can buy less over time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and that's what an asset is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have property. We have gold.
Yeah.
Now the difference with gold is that gold is something that, for example, you can invest your money in gold, but the way it kind of moves in price or in value, it literally works along the same kind of levels of inflation.
Right, okay.
So gold is where people go to keep safety.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? To
yeah.
kind of maintain their purchasing power.
Okay.
However, if you look at something like Bitcoin, and if you just ask anybody, you know what I mean, just go into Google right now, type in Bitcoin over the last 10 years.
Yep.
It says in ChatGPT, it says it on Google. If you type in what is the best performing asset of the last 10 years, consistently,
Yeah.
it will say that it's Bitcoin.
So it's not even like stocks and shares, S&P 500, Bitcoin. I didn't expect
Bitcoin.
that to come up.
Yeah, go into your phone. As I said, I
I will
advise
be, don't
anybody
worry.
to do it.
Yeah.
It's the best performing asset consistently for the last 10 years. That means
Okay.
it beats gold, it's beaten diamonds, it's beaten rare paintings. It's the best performing asset consistently.
Right.
Yeah. So what that basically means is this: that we finally have something that we can invest in that is globally acceptable as
Right,
well. So
yeah.
remember, Bitcoin is not just. It's not something that you can only invest in if you're in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not something it's literally open to
All
everybody.
markets, yeah.
Yeah. Which means the size of it and the potential of it to grow is massive, you know. If you keep that in mind, then you realize that you can invest in it, and if unlike being with a house,
Yep.
you don't need a deposit.
Yeah.
You don't need a credit check.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in some form of employment. You don't need to be in a country that's
there's not a minimum threshold
there's
to
no minimum
invest.
threshold to get into it. You know, so when you look at the potential of it and where it can actually go, this is the reason why it's grown so fast.
Yeah.
So the Bitcoin, the value of all the Bitcoins in the world at the moment that have been mined so far is, I believe, 1.8 trillion US dollars.
Really?
1.8 trillion. And that's after just 16 years. So if it's done that much in that amount of time, what you got to ask yourself is, where is it going to be in 10 to 20 years?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that is where what we try and do at Crypto 123 is help people to understand where you can actually that there is access for you to be able to improve your financial situation, to take control of your financial future. And that quite simply is going to be through the ability to be able to save in something which there is no kind of restrictions. Bitcoin's open to everyone, you know, and where a lot of the myths come along is just that, but Bitcoin's going for at one stage it was 100K, it's going for about $60,000 now.
Okay.
You know, so Bitcoin's not accessible for everyone. What people don't realize is that you don't need to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy literally $5 worth if you need to.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think that was another thing, because I think people thought it was for those that were super wealthy that could actually buy them. Like, it wasn't accessible to everybody.
And that's the thing it is. You know, you can literally, as I said, you can literally buy as little as $5 with it. You know? And so this is why we advocate, and what we teach at Crypto 123, quite simply, is that you use it as a savings tool.
Okay, so rather than keeping your money in the bank, where the interest rate for in terms of a savings account is quite low, to be honest, and you're not going to see growth. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is where you would recommend people.
This is what I would recommend. Yeah.
Okay.
And don't take my word for it. Go and do the research. You understand? This is not financial advice. Just go and do the research for yourself. Right. We would say go and do your own research.
Yes, important.
You know, but it is the best performing asset consistently. You know.
Yep.
It is totally liquid, which means if you need to sell some for some form of emergency, you can just go onto an exchange and sell, and you will have your money within 10 minutes.
But there's risk of you could lose a bit of that. So say there's an emergency, I want to pull out whatever I've put in. It just depends where the market is at that period of time, right?
Yes. But what you have to look at, if it, on average, I think Bitcoin goes up on average around 65% per year.
65% a year?
A year, yeah, on average. So even like we may have a down year, you understand? If you look at it over, say, the period of 4 years, what you will see is that it has gone up around anything between 65 and up to 150%.
Wow.
Yeah. And there is no bank account out there.
No, you're not going to get
65% of your money.
No.
And that, and especially on something that's totally liquid.
Yeah.
You know? And so this is where, when we are looking into the future, and as I said, so many people are struggling at the moment with what's going on in the economy. UK economy is struggling, the US economy is struggling, all through inflation and all through money printing and all the things that have been going on. Around COVID times, do you know that I think in the last 5 years, 80% of the US dollars in circulation was printed.
Wow.
In the last 80%. So which pretty much means that anybody that's saving their money right now is toast.
It's not going to do anything.
Yeah, and the only way out, because unless you're going to have enough money to be able to go and purchase a property,
of course,
and a property is, and real estate, if you call it in the US, is shooting through the roof. Why? Because it's bought through printed money.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin is one of the only things that has true value. You know, but it's finite. You know, there will only ever be 21 million of them, but at the same time, it's divisible infinitely.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
At the one Satoshi, like if you think about a pound, and pence, or a dollar and a cent, one Bitcoin can be split into 100 million pieces.
100 million pieces?
100 million pieces, which we call Satoshis.
Right. Oh, this is the Satoshi. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So, okay, Kofi, you're so passionate about this. You know your stuff. Like, I'm like, I need to start looking into this, so I'll speak to you offline properly.
No problem.
Let's talk about like now and what you've built in Dubai. I'm sure it's not just clients in Dubai, and because I've known you in education, so I can see the knowledge and how well you articulate things and explain things, which completely makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I've learned so much just within this conversation.
Okay.
So Dubai, how did you then start to kind of really grow Crypto 123 here? I don't know if you started it. Did you start it before you came?
So I started it actually in Gambia. I started it in Gambia.
How were you in Gambia?
I started in Gambia. So I went to Gambia 2020.
Okay.
With a bunch of my friends, which is really interesting, on holiday. And then got trapped out there because Well, I didn't really, I
Yeah.
didn't realize at the time that things were going to get much worse in the UK, and then no flights are coming into the UK.
This is COVID time,
During the
2020.
COVID
Yeah,
times,
okay, got it. Yeah.
So a 2-week holiday ended up being 2 months. And
You
I
were there
was-
for 2
I was
months?
stuck out there for 2 months. I ended up catching COVID and getting locked up in one of those COVID
What?
jail hospitals.
In
and stuff.
Gambia?
In Gambia, yeah. In Gambia.
You've
Guys
lived to
standing
tell the
outside
tale.
with machine guns and stuff like
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it
you
was
were there for 2 months.
I was there for 2 months.
So you had time, like
So I
in
had
terms
time.
of like to
Yes,
think
yeah,
and plan.
yeah.
Got
And
it.
at the time, it was just pretty much like, because I was talking about at the time, I remember Bitcoin now was entering into its second cycle.
Right.
And so it literally had gone from being about 3K all the way down now to being about 20 and 30.
Oh.
And I kept talking about it, and then there was this. I remember there was this judge from the US, and she'd bought some, and then she decided to look at it because I was talking to her,
Yes.
look at her account, and she was like, because obviously she's seen her
Oh,
money 10x.
oh, wow.
And then literally what kept happening was people kept inviting me out, like, oh, come to our house for dinner, come to our house for coffee, come to our house for breakfast. Why don't you come around?
They're
And
picking
then-
your brain.
And then when I was sitting there, you understand, they have their kids sitting there over a laptop, you understand,
Yeah.
taking notes, and I'm just like, oh, you know what? I'm starting to realize now
This
that
is a thing.
people really want to know what I know. And so when I finally got to get back to the UK
Yeah.
after being locked up for those 10 days, I thought to myself, you know what? I need to set something up where I can literally be educating people, but also provide some kind of form of value
Yeah,
for myself.
good. Yeah.
And that's where I came up with the concept of Crypto 123. My first presentation was for a charity organization, 100 Black Men in London.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
They had like a economic and enterprise
Okay.
kind of thing going on. And I remember I was their crypto guy, so they had a stocks and shares guy, they had a crypto guy,
cool.
they had a equities guy and so on, which is really, really good. And it literally started from there. So I got myself a little logo, I got myself a little script,
Right.
and then put the recording up onto YouTube, and it literally started from there. I mean,
That's
that
so
video
good.
was terrible. Then I look back now, but this
You
is- this is
start.
where-
Yeah,
this is
you
where
just have to start. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just literally, as I said, it just literally started from there. And I would do kind of presentations for like charities, women's groups,
Yeah.
debt management groups,
Good.
you understand, benefits groups,
Yeah.
places where people needed help and people needed money and people are trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
Because I think there's this myth with Bitcoin that it's only really there, or it's only really good for people who already have money.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I'm here to do with Crypto 123 is show the everyday person, the everyday 9-to-5 worker, the person who's maybe only got £50 to put
Yeah,
away, or
yeah.
250 dirhams or whatever
Yes.
to put away a month. That is somewhere you can put your money and at least see some form
Some
of growth.
yeah, that's the thing.
And we are still very, very, very early. If you think about it, Bitcoin is 17 years old,
Yeah, it's still new.
and it's already worth 1.8 trillion. And then you look at something like gold, which has been around for like 5,000 years, which is, I think the gold cap now is, I think last check was about 15, 16.
Right, okay.
15, 16 trillion. So if you think about it, look what Bitcoin's
In that
done
short
in that
space
short
of
space of
time.
time.
Yeah.
And then what you have to ask yourself is, where is this thing going?
Yes,
And
yeah.
we're from London. I'm sure you've heard people saying, oh my God, my mum or my uncle sold their house in Brixton.
Yeah.
They really wish that they didn't.
Yes.
They sold it for 100K and now
And
it's
now?
worth 10 million.
Yep.
I'm from East London. You can say it was the same situation with Hackney. People wishing that they bought their properties or
Yes,
didn't sell
way
their
back,
properties, you
yes,
understand?
yeah.
And that they had the opportunity to go back in time and
Yeah.
take advantage of
Okay.
it. Well, where we are with Bitcoin right now is you are in that position. Right now, you are in that position where the property in Hackney or in Brixton
Right.
or in Manhattan, New York or Brooklyn, wherever, is at that low price.
Got it.
And it's got and you still got all of that room for it to move while it's available.
Okay.
Institutions are coming into Bitcoin. Donald Trump was talking about
Yeah.
Bitcoin. They've got a strategic Bitcoin reserve. There's countries now making it part of their financial system, like El Salvador. So it's growing and growing and growing. So the opportunity is moving away slower. You will always be able to invest in Bitcoin, but you won't be able to take as much advantage of it.
Got it. Yes.
So all I would say to everybody is, if you do not take advantage of this situation right now, where the price of Bitcoin is right now, at the moment it's bouncing around 67, 68,000.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? When it's hitting around 1 million, don't say that what you didn't see.
You didn't hear Kofi telling you
To
to get involved.
You didn't see that podcast on Let's Talk DXB telling you that, look, this is a once in a multi-generational opportunity. Don't just take my word for it. Do your own research. There's people out there that I'd advocate you listen to. There's a guy from the UK. He's a bit harsh sometimes.
Okay.
A guy called British Hodl. But I think he kind of he really puts the force in it, just like get to one Bitcoin as much as possible, or get as much as possible,
much as you can.
This is because and there's so many people out there that advocate for that. But the opportunity is not going to be there forever for you to take as much advantage. You know?
And for it to still be accessible and affordable, I guess, because things change, right? Yeah,
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
and I would say as well that it's the great thing about it as well is just that it's something that you can pass on to your children.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about inheritance tax. You don't have to worry about being taxed on it unless you sell it.
Okay.
There's so many financial instruments around it now where you can use it as a cash flowing tool.
Good.
Which we never had before. So all of these things are being built around it and are growing so fast. But the window of opportunity is going slowly. I've been in it for 8 years. I've made all the mistakes from.
So you've got the learnings.
Jumping in with the Bitcoin and then going into the altcoins and then losing my money in altcoins. I only advocate for people buying Bitcoin. Okay. Again, because it's the only purely decentralized cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
No, all of the other cryptocurrencies are not decentralized.
Got it.
You are literally. It is. One of the best ways that I think it's been described is digital gold. So everything that gold is and why people invest in gold is what Bitcoin is, just in a digital form, but better.
Got it.
Because it's transportable. It's uncensorable. You take full control over it because you store it for yourself, as opposed to having to store it in a vault somewhere. You understand? So many things are changing as the world becomes more and more digital.
Yes, of course.
The two things that we know that are going to be around, because I know AI has got everybody shook at the moment. Everybody's shook. What's going to happen to my job? What's going to happen to my job? The two things that we know is going to be around in the next 20 years is Bitcoin and AI. So if you know that these two things are going to be around, these are the two things that we should be investing in.
Got it.
And I would, again, I'm sure your podcast will still be around in the next 10 years.
Amen.
But it is, I would gladly sit here and look back and say what we was doing in February 2026. And in February 2036 and say that, look what's happened. Did you invest? What are you doing with it? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because it's a once in a multi-generational opportunity. And it's available for everyone. And it's the first global monetary system. If you think there's something like 2 billion unbanked people in the world. So 2 billion people in the world do not have access to a bank account. But those 2 billion people, just because you having a mobile phone and access to a mobile phone, can buy Bitcoin. And once people catch on, and it will catch on, it's going to go through the roof.
So obviously you're very passionate about this and you talk really well around it. Okay. One thing I wanted to touch on, because you said way back, you quit a job without having a job when you had to sell debt and loans and all of those unethical pieces. So I can tell you're very ethical with what you do, and that's why you're clear in terms of making sure there's transparency. So why is that important to you, actually? Because I feel like a lot of people, when they hear about these things or they get the advice, they're a bit skeptical, but I can tell you're very ethical in the foundations of what you're trying to teach to people.
Okay.
And obviously you left a job because you found it so unethical. So why is the ethics around Bitcoin and crypto so important to you?
It's important because it's about trust. People do not trust financial institutions. Everybody, you switch on YouTube, there's someone trying to sell you a financial course, trying to sell you a trading course. I don't advocate for trading the Bitcoin at all.
Tell me why.
Because it's not about trading, it's about investing. Bitcoin is a long-term investment.
Understood.
A minimum of 4 years, I advocate as something that you save in for life.
Got it.
So if you're putting every time you have spare cash or you want to save, you're putting a percentage of that into it as savings. That you will only see the benefit of that over at least 4 years.
Okay.
I've been in it for 8 years. I did sell some after 2 or 3 years, and I highly regret it now. I highly regret it now. So I now know that it was something that I would only sell if I really, really have to.
Understood.
So in the whole finance, world and the whole banking world, trust is one of the biggest issues which prevents a lot of people.
Exactly.
And then on top of that comes to the education side of things, which is, as you said, we're not taught financial literacy in schools. We're not taught financial literacy in colleges, you understand? But then we're expected to go out into the world and navigate and be able to provide for our
Especially
families.
when you get access as well to
Yes.
loans, to credit cards. Yeah, not
Exactly.
actually understanding what you're going into,
Yeah.
which is a big thing. It's quite common.
It's
actually.
massive,
Especially here,
especially out
access
here.
to these things. You have to be so disciplined or
Extremely.
understand what you're using it for, so it's not wastage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and there is like this whole how can I say, what should you spend your money on when you get spare money? You get what I'm trying to say? And most of the time, why do people so quick to spend their money as soon as it comes in? Because we can feel it, even though we don't understand what's going on, that what we're able to do with that money is dwindling all the time because things are just getting more and more expensive. So we go out and buy stuff, you know? But imagine if that money is now held in an asset which is increasing over time.
Yep.
It develops a much more of a saver's mentality.
Which takes discipline. I think you have to be disciplined with your money and know what you need to let it work for you. Like I've spent probably the last 4 years on really building my finance. I've always been like the basic savings and making sure, and I'm not a materialistic or big spender, but in terms of financial literacy and investing in the right places and doing all the things, that has been like 4 years of just really being disciplined with that.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's so important. Yeah.
But that discipline is not very widespread.
Yeah,
it's
that's
extremely difficult to do.
Especially in places that are luxurious, like Dubai.
Yes, like Dubai. And especially if you're in a position where all you're doing your very best to kind of make ends meet.
Yeah, you don't have that additional amount to even invest. And that's quite a common thing as well.
Very, very, very common.
Yeah.
But I think when you understand and know that there's something out there that you can invest in that gives you the ability to increase your purchasing power with it, then you'll be much more inclined. We call it delayed gratification. You understand?
Agreed.
You'll be much more inclined to kind of move along that thing because you'll be like, do I really need it? Because, you know, if I spend that money in 10 years, it could be worth this, or in 2 years, it could be worth this.
Yep.
Now I'm just much more conscious about what I do.
Yeah.
Now I'm only spending on the bare essentials. I'm not so easily swayed.
Yeah, it's
you
good.
know? And you know the importance and the power of the kind of conversation that you have growing up with money and what you see with your family.
This is what I wanted to touch on actually, because it's such a huge thing. So even for Zayn, my son, like I bought him a book around money, the basics of what does it mean, what do these terms mean. I didn't get that growing up. I just had like be sensible, work and save, but not really around investing because obviously that wasn't a thing that my parents had either. Okay. So I think now it's feeding in, and also the scarcity mindset and all of those things. You have to be really intentional what you do and don't tell your child because it seeps in. Yeah.
Yes, and especially for someone like your son, because imagine the future that he's going to inherit is going to be one based on so much debt because of the country. Because of of what's going on with the general economy. You know, the US dollar is obviously the global reserve currency. So imagine being born into an environment in which it's pretty much a mess. You know, what kind of options do we have? You know, they say most people now in their 20s, the last thing they're thinking about is the ability to be able to buy a house. You know, it's just like a thing of the past. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, if you say to someone now you own a property in the UK, I was lucky enough to get in very, very early. You know, but if you say you're older, but the first thing they think is, you must be older.
Yeah. How did you do it? Yeah, because it seems so not accessible anymore. Yeah, it's not, because people are trying their best to just cover the basics.
It's sad. It's sad because people then don't have hope.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have hope of ever being able to have your own place, the most you can hope for to do is rent.
Yeah.
You know, you have no hope of like what to pretty much to invest in without kind of and being able to navigate the crazy risks. You get what I'm trying to say? There is something that you can invest in, you know, and it's only going to grow. I'm heavily invested in it. I've dedicated my life to it now in terms of the educational side of things, again, because I believe everybody should have a fair chance. You know, it's not your son's fault that he's going to be inheriting an environment, you get onto the say, which is going to be so inflationary. So at least we have one option.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, with the potential to grow. But it's a shame that there are so many negative ethics around it. While, as I said, when I was working in the bank, the biggest issue was as I was selling loans to people that
couldn't even afford to pay them back.
We're never going to be able to afford it back. So you're literally messing them up for the rest of their lives, you know. We was part of, do you remember the whole PPI wave?
Yes, yeah.
So I was part of that wave because we was always told that when you sold a loan, you're supposed to sell them a PAP, which was to add this insurance to the loan. Yeah. a lot of people didn't even know that they were signing up.
They didn't know that it was there.
They didn't know
right.
It. Yeah, it was, which is really, really sad. So that's, again, when I've had the opportunity now to go into Bitcoin, this is where my ethics come from. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's really important that I make sure that people get led down the right path and understand exactly what it is that they're doing, you know? Because even your local bank, where you walk in the building, you understand, thinking that someone that you can trust is not necessarily going to be doing things in your favor. I think they're a lot more stricter now.
Yes.
Going back then, it wasn't, you know? So I think financial literacy is never something that is ever going to be taught in schools, just because the people that are funding the school
don't want it to be taught so widely.
Yeah. The people that are funding it are the ones that if we got to learn it, we wouldn't be working along with them. But what we can do is educate ourselves independently. That's important. You know, I remember the first book I ever read that really kind of sparked for me. I'm sure you heard it, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh yeah, I read it. Yeah.
That really did it for me. I remember making all of my students, like, you know, read it every tutorial, and we got through it. You know, I think for Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Bible, as we call it, is called the Bitcoin Standard, by a guy called Saifedean Ammous. I'd always advocate anybody to try. Really try and read it, because that will really give you the insight, and he explains it and he's a lot more articulate with it. You know, it's a very long book, but it's definitely one of the best ones out there. There's a guy called Andreas Antonopoulos. Again, one of the first people that I listened to. He breaks it down. You can find him on YouTube. You know, he kind of breaks it down in about 30 minutes. You know, so there's so much educational content out there, but you've got to know the right places to go. No trading apps, no trading, you know, no trying to make £1 million in 2 weeks.
In 2 minutes. I know. It's a long-term game. I think it's a long-term investment, which is definitely something I've learnt and seen the value, that compound interest. So it completely makes sense.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Oh no, listen, I'm doing my thing. Definitely. I've spent time, and I'm a podcaster, and I would read, and I love like having conversations like this, but it's acting on it as well. As soon as I feel like, okay, I get it, then I move with it. Otherwise, what's the point? It's wasted knowledge if you don't act on it. So I'm very big on that as well.
So you got a discipline.
That's one thing I would say.
And it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult thing to do for most people. You know, some people have got it. Like my mum is excellent at it.
Got it. Okay, so you saw that. Okay,
yeah. I saw it growing up. My foster mum, you understand? She, you know, we never had loads, but we always had enough. We always had enough, do you understand? And everything was organized. It was my job to go down to the post office and pay everything. And I remember she always had everything in their little bags, and pay this for the rent, and pay this to the gas bill, and everything, you know what I mean? So I came from that kind of discipline.
Good.
There's a reason why I never told her when I got myself into debt.
You could not. She like, I showed you what to do, but we're human.
But, you know, financial discipline is the thing that I think will keep you grounded, you understand, and ensure that you keep moving forward. I think education, financial literacy education, is the thing that will propel you, you know? And if it's shared enough, and if we stay on the right path, listen to the right people, read the right books, get the right kind of guidance, which is not easy.
It's not easy,
it's really
There's a lot out there. There's a lot of noise,
Too much noise. Too much noise. Way too much noise. Then I think we really then have, that's where we're going to be able to see a change for the everyday person, you know? And even though we may not all be able to get rich, we can at least all be comfortable.
That's important.
And be able to look forward to the future.
Well, Kofi, I love what you've built, actually. I can just see how passionate you are and authentic around it as well.
Thank you.
So if people want to learn more, where do they learn more? How do they find you?
Okay, so you can get me online at Crypto123 Live.
Okay, yes, I've seen the website.
Or you can just Google Crypto123. We'll come up. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can book a session.
So that was my next question. You do like one-on-one sessions?
Yes. Sorry, I thought I went.
No, it's okay.
So Crypto123. So basically, what we do is that we provide a one-to-one tutorial service, getting people up, running, and started using Bitcoin.
Okay.
But also navigating the world of crypto, because it's very, very easy for people, even though they come in and say and follow us and say that they just want to invest in Bitcoin. go away for a week or two, you've seen 2, 3, 4, 5 adverts, you've seen John down the road,
Yep.
he's now driving a Rolls Royce, and told you invested in, I don't know, DD coin or whatever it is, do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you've sold all your Bitcoin, you've gone into what he's done, and now you lost all of your money.
Right.
So we're there to kind of help people navigate the space by answering the questions for them, help you to buy Bitcoin safely.
So you help them get started, because I think that's the thing, right? Hold my
Yes.
hand and show me what I need to do is
That's
always
it.
a thing. Okay.
That's it. Hold my hand, show you what you need to do, get you started in the sense of knowing where to go to buy,
Yeah.
what to buy,
Good.
how to store it safely, and the strategy to use, which
Right.
we call dollar cost averaging. That's similar
Right.
to using it as a savings tool. That's literally where you are buying a certain amount of Bitcoin, whether you get paid monthly or weekly and so on.
Yes.
Buying it on an exchange, then sending it to your hardware wallet, saving it on your wallet, and doing that consistently.
Okay.
And it's by doing the dollar cost averaging strategy that you will then see the benefits after,
Right.
as I said, 4 years
Yeah.
plus.
Okay, so I'm coming to you. Okay, got
Yes,
it.
yes.
Right, you're going to hold my
Cool,
hand
cool.
through that.
We're here,
Yeah.
we're here.
Well, thank you. So I'll keep you here forever because I'm like picking your brain selfishly as well. But thank you so much for
Anytime.
taking the time. I think it's valuable because you've broken it down. You simplified it.
Yes.
The fear and the risk and everything. And to be honest, that I had around it because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I've even felt like, oh, okay, this is something to look into. So yeah, you're making impact, and I can tell the authenticity and how you actually genuinely want to help people
Yes.
build some type of financial literacy or comfortability when it comes to their finances and investing.
100%. We are purely educational.
Good.
We do not sell crypto. We're not sponsored
Yeah.
by anybody.
Yeah.
We are purely educational.
Good.
I'm a teacher. I'm
Yeah,
coming from a teaching
exactly.
background, you know. So if you want a place where you can go, where you can purely be educated without worried about being kind of enticed into something else, no upsell. Do you understand?
Yes.
You book a session with us like you book a plumber.
Yeah,
you
got
know?
it.
Then there's a place that you can go. And I think so long as we maintain that level of integrity and I'm knowing that there's a place that you can go and trust. Go and check out our Trust Pilot,
Yeah,
you know, then you will feel comfortable that there's a place you can go at any time, you know, and that's what's needed. That's what's needed.
Well, you're doing great work. So
Thank you so much.
congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk DXB. Real conversations by real people.